Hello everyone, welcome back to the Motorcycle Fixer channel. This week I'm going to be putting the piston and the barrel onto our ZS 155 pit bike engine that we've been building over the last couple of months. Hopefully you will find it interesting. Right, first we're going to fit our hollow dowels to our engine studs. They go on this one here and this one here. These two studs are oilways. The oil travels up these two engine studs to the top of the engine. Then we're going to fit our base gasket. It'll only go on one way. You may need to pull these studs apart or push them together just to get it on. That's okay, just make sure you don't tear it. So there we are, that's done, nice and fitted. The next thing we've got to do is fit our piston rings. Make sure your piston is nice and clean. Make sure there's no bits or anything in the grooves. And then you should be okay to go. First we're going to fit our corrugated piston ring. This is quite flexible, so you can just push this in all the way round. You need to make sure that with the corrugated ring that the ends of it are against each other like this and not overlapping each other like this, because when you come to put the main oil rings on, then they'll be sticking out too far. So oops, wrong one. We've got our main oil rings. Again, these are quite flexible, so put the bottom one on first. Make sure it stays on the bottom of the corrugated one there, just like that. If you can see that, it's nice. Then the top one, just put that in all the way around. Again, it's quite flexible, so you don't need to be too careful. It goes in really easy. You want to make sure that the gap on the rings, so the bottom one, the gap on the top one needs to be around 90 degrees to the bottom. So you just need to turn them. So there we are, that's that. Just check that it's even all the way round. Next we're going to fit our main piston rings. So this is the bottom main one. This has it's got a small D on it, if you can see that. I don't know if you can see it. The D always goes up. The two piston rings are slightly different. The one with a rounded edge goes on the top, and there should be a squarer edge then on the bottom. I know you can't really see it obviously, but if you take a side angle of it and look on, then it will actually be a sharper edge on the bottom. So okay, the D on this one facing up, to put the piston rings on is fairly straightforward, but you have got to be careful with them. These pit bike piston rings are quite malleable. They are quite bendy. Some of the really old piston rings on older bikes can be very brittle, so you've got to be very careful. So this is how I do it. I put, if you can see, I put the end of the ring in there, and then I just pull this one gently up over the top like that, and then pull it around, and then we'll just turn it in like that. So there we are. The gap on this one should be more than 90 degrees away from the top oil ring, so that obviously when you've got your burn explosion going on, you don't want it to be traveling straight down the gaps on the rings. So you want it to, it'll blow past the first one, but then it won't go straight through. So okay, so that's the second one. So now the top one, this one's got DY written on it. I don't know if you can see it close enough. Again, you want it to be about 90 degree out. Same principle though. We're just going to put the end of it there like that, and then we're just going to twist around and then push it in, and that's it. Obviously with practice it becomes easier, but I have broken rings. When I first started, I have broken some of the older rings because they are quite brittle, especially when you put the barrel on. It could catch the rings and then it is brittle. Okay, the next thing we've got to do now is to fit this onto our con rod. It's got a inlet and an exhaust, so the exhaust needs to be pointing obviously to the exhaust, so that's down. On a lot of the bigger bikes, the Japanese bikes, they'll have an arrow pointing to the exhaust, so that's the indication of which way up to put them. We've got the one gudgeon pin circlip in, so then that's all we need to do is put our piston over the con rod like so, and then push our gudgeon pin in, and there we are. That's our piston fitted. That's all I've got to do now is to fit this circlip on the other side, and we're ready to go. Just make sure when you fit your piston and your gudgeon pin and everything, give them a good coating of oil, nice clean oil, so that when you first start the bike up, it's all lubricated, ready, before the oil gets a chance to circulate. Okay. Fitting the clip is fairly straightforward. If your engine is this way up, you really need to fill this cavity and this one actually with some paper towel or a rag or blue roll, because if you drop this bad boy down there then and you can't get it back out with a magnet, then you need to strip your engine back down. So always a good idea to fill this cavity and this one with some rags or blue roll usually. Okay, this one we're going to do it on its side, so it's not so bad. It is actually quite a simple little job sometimes not. Just usually start off jinxed myself. Do you all know what that means? You jinxed yourself? Comment below if you know what that means. So yeah, try again. I don't know if you can see. You want to put the one end into the hole where it starts. Like so. And then push the top end in like so. I'm going to need a screwdriver or something to push that now. No, there we are, we've done it. So yeah, there it is, all the way in. You might need a little screwdriver actually just to push the last bit in. I managed to get it with my fingernail, but there we are, all the way in. So that's our piston fitted now. We're ready to put the barrel on, and then we can build the head. So before we put the barrel on, we're going to give it some oil in the barrel. We're going to just put some oil in there, run it around with our finger, make sure that we don't have a dry start when we first start it up. So you will have some smoke obviously, but it's better to have smoke than a seized piston the first time you start it up. So it's just some nice clean oil. Make sure the honing on the bore is all full of oil. We're also going to do the same with the piston. We're going to just put some drops of oil on, make sure the rings are coated, make sure the outer walls of the piston is coated, and just make sure it's lubricated. And put some oil on there through the hole on the top of the con rod as well. There we are. And that's lovely. Okay, perfect. Move that out of the way. This barrel now obviously goes on to our studs, like so. And then we're gonna put it over the first part of our piston. Now you just need to push this over your rings, making sure that the rings are not bent down when it goes in. And there we are. It's really easy. I've actually seen a video of these engines being made in the factory in China, and they basically just push the head over the thing, tap it on with a mallet, and then over it goes. So don't be too frightened of it, because it is very easy actually. So we're just gonna what I'm doing is holding the crank on the side so that the piston, also that the con rod is straight, so that when I push it on, then hopefully it'll go all the way, and that's seated now all the way onto our bottom end. And we should be able to turn our crank then. There we are, up and down the bow. And then what I tend to do then is put the piston at top dead center using the crank. So when I come to do the timing, I know that piston, I'll check it as well, and obviously as well, but I know that's going to be at top dead center, and if it does move at all, then it's only going to be a little bit out. So but there we are, that's our barrel and pistons. That's our barrel and piston fitted. So that's the end of this video for tonight. Next video is going to be fitting the head and the timing chain, make sure it's all timed up. Okay, thank you for watching if you've got this far. If you do want to see more videos building engines, not just pit bike engines, but also I've got other plans for lots of other bikes as well. then please subscribe and please hit the like button. If there's something specific you'd like to see, then comment below. I do try and get to all the comments. It may take me a while, but I do try my best to answer all comments. So thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe.